Image C, one of the 3 pages of the manuscript presented in this video, contain an artistic headpiece and the beginnings of a doxology or hymn of praise. The Coptic artwork that adorns Image C is a hand-drawn copy of the original 12th century manuscript. The ancient Copts were masters of using dyes and crushed rock, mixing them with egg whites to create bright, clear colors that created vivid and lively images. Favorite colors of ancient Coptic design included purple, yellow, red, and blue. The scribe who worked on this particular manuscript lacked the exacting skill of his ancient predecessors, but the workmanship is clearly Coptic, and it is a sincere attempt to recreate the original. The headpiece of Image C is a stepped archway that contains a classic Coptic design of intricately interwoven crosses and other symbols. The crosses appear as white ribbon that is woven through the red background. The archway also features red finials in all the corners as well as the top center. The Coptic writing that surrounds the outer perimeter of the archway reads, from left to right, "We serve him, we worship you, we bless you, and we worship him." These are words that the congregation would repeat. This specific series of phrases comprise part of the anamnesis, which is a section of the Liturgy of the Faithful, just one section of the whole prayer book. Comprising Saints Basil the Great, Gregory, and Cyril, it commemorates the character of the saints of the Coptic Church. The exact verbiage is repeated for each of the saints in the synaxarium, that is, a list of saints, of the prayer book. The red Coptic letters just below the arch on Image C are Coptic numbers representing which sections of the whole manuscript the priest would refer to when using the verbiage described above. The presence of Arabic throughout the manuscript is part of the scribal process, likely done by the scribe who copied this prayer book from the original. Even in the 12th century original, it was added in the margins of the Coptic manuscript. It remains not only an important part of Coptic religious heritage, but also a necessary step to conveying the various prayers. By the 1st century CE, Egyptian hieroglyphics had transformed into a version of the Greek alphabet. During these first few centuries, Coptic was used by the Christian Church of Egypt. Beginning in the 7th century CE, Arab invasion and occupation of Egypt slowly changed the language of the Christian Church from Coptic to Arabic. Although the Coptic language survived until the 7th century, Arabic was the language most Egyptian Christians were learning. Some Coptic scholars continued to study the ancient language, but it became necessary to make notes in the margins of Bibles, prayer books, and all manuscripts of illumination. A scribe would translate the Coptic words and write Arabic in the available space. In places, notes were made to clarify a point or modify Coptic idiom to fit the Arabic language. Later copies, like the one on display at the library, were transcribed from originals without translation, keeping in mind that either Coptic or Arabic-speaking priests could use them. Like most books of ours, this manuscript contains iconography as decoration and also to emphasize the various stories told in the text, the doxologies. Image A and Image B are leaves of the manuscript that depict St. George slaying a dragon and St. Theodore the Eastern slaying paganism. St. Theodore the Oriental, also known as St. Theodore the Eastern, is one of the most legendary Coptic martyrs. On this page of the manuscript he is depicted riding a bright yellow horse, wielding a spear and carrying a sword. The spear, which is topped with a cross, represents Christianity. The sword represents his military background, illustrating to us that this St. Theodore is also the St. Theodore Stratollates, a Roman general. Here St. Theodore is seen to be slaying a man who is falling out of a chair. The man represents the Roman emperor and paganism, and the chair his seat of power. The depiction of St. Theodore killing the emperor is an allegorical expression for the dedication to Christianity and his commitment to ending the paganism that the slain figure represents. While St. Theodore did not actually kill the emperor, there was a Roman general who sacrificed his life for Christianity. Theodore was a covert Christian during a period of persecution by the Roman emperor. After being exposed as a Christian, a military tribunal set Theodore free, considering him a good soldier who had merely made a mistake. Though he was encouraged to reconsider his faith, Theodore promptly burned down a pagan temple. He was arrested again and ordered to apostatize, that is, to renounce his faith. Theodore was then tortured by having his flesh torn off. He responded by reciting the Psalms. This leaf of the Coptic prayer book commemorates St. Theodore the Eastern and is likely accompanied by a doxology on the facing page. The legend of St. George slaying the dragon is common among Christian faiths, but St. George is considered by the Coptic Church to be among those who represent the most pious character. According to the legend, there was a town in Libya that was plagued by a dragon living in a lake nearby. The town would sacrifice sheep to the dragon. When that was not enough, the townspeople sacrificed their daughters, who were chosen by lot. Eventually it fell upon the lord of the town to sacrifice his own daughter. He offered the people of the town half his fortune in exchange for his daughter's life. After they refused, she was sent to the dragon. St. George, by chance, rode by the lake. As the princess and George conversed, the dragon leapt out of the lake. St. George, brandishing the sign of the cross, charged the dragon on horseback with his lance and gave it a grievous wound. Then he called to the princess to throw him her girdle, and he put it around the dragon's neck. When she did so, the dragon followed the girl like an animal on a leash. She and St. George led the dragon back to the town, where it terrified the people at its approach. But St. George called to the people that if they converted to Christianity, he would slay the dragon. The king and the people converted. George slew the dragon, and the body was carted out of the city. 15,000 men were baptized. On the site where the dragon died, the king built a church to the Blessed Virgin Mary and St. George, and from its altar ran a spring, the waters of which cured all disease.
Amen.